Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another card video. Today's card uses the Artful Flower set by Simon Says Stamp. It's one of my favorite all-time sets. I haven't used it in a while. What I'm going to do is take the three solid images and I'm going to stamp them with some Stampin' Up! White craft ink onto some smoky slate cardstock. This is my favorite white ink. It got the best results in my comparison review. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the outlines in black, but to make sure that I get them perfectly lined up, I'm going to use my Stamp-A-Majig. I have some Hero Arts black ink, so I've stamped my image sheet, and then I'll place it right over where I would like to stamp, and then when I stamp down, I'll get it exactly where I want it. These are really easy to line up, especially when you have white ink on dark cardstock. So I have three different flowers with three different outlines, so I'm going to do this 3 times, lining it up each time with my Stamp-A-Majig. Here's my second one, and then finally my third one. Another option here, if you don't have a white ink that you like, you could color these with a white colored pencil. All right, so for stamping my stems, I'm going to need to mask the bottom of the flower. So I just stamp them on a Post-it and cut it out. And there is the solid stem. There's 2 solid stems. I'm just going to use the same one on all 3 of these. And so I'm just going to be careful that I don't go above the mask that I created. I'm going to stamp it 3 times. And then there is also an outline. Again here, you could color this with a white colored pencil, like just stamp the outline and then color the inside with the colored pencil. But I just thought it was just as easy to do the white ink. So I'm going to use my Stamp-A-Majig again. That really allows me to line these up perfectly. Now I'll remove my masks and you can see how pretty this looks. Now it's time for some detail on these flowers. I'm going to use Antique White and Chinese ink. These are Inktense pencils. They're watercolor pencils, but you can use them dry. This Chinese ink is basically just a dark black. So I'm going to put a very little bit at the very base of the petal here. And then I'm going to take my white and just go over it, kind of pulling that black out a little bit so it does get a little streaky, which is how I want it actually, because I want it to look like there's some flower veins here. Now I thought it was a little too much on that first petal, so on my second one I'm going to go with a lighter hand and shorter strokes. And you can see how the Chinese ink sort of pulls out a little bit as you color over with the white colored pencil. So as I'm using a light hand on the Chinese ink, I'm using a very heavy hand on the white. So I'm going to really fast forward this here because I'm just doing the same thing on each petal. And if you end up getting too much dark color, too much of the Chinese ink or too much black, whatever pencil you're using, we're going to go back in here with a white gel pen to add some white highlights so you can always hide it if you overdo it. I'm just going to be adding shadow to the bottom of each of these petals. I actually tried adding them to the outer edge and I didn't like it so much, so I'm just keeping to the inside of the flower. Now here I am with my white gel pen, and this is to just add kind of, I've got the dark color, now I want a really bright color. So I'm just flicking upward and you know, the pen sort of, it works better if you work slowly with the pen, so I'm working kind of fast so I get sort of jagged lines, a little bit of spaced out lines, because I don't want it to be even lines and I want it to be really kind of light. So you can use as much or as little of the gel pen as you want. Now here is Spring Green. It's just a really pretty green color. I'm going to go over the stems. I wanted to add a little bit of color to the stems, and I added the white underneath it so that my green would be bright when I put it on. Now I'm going to put some tape runner on the back of this panel and adhere it to some So Saffron cardstock by Stampin' Up! And then I'll take that panel and adhere it to my Neenah Solar White card base. I have a Micron 03 pen and I'm going to draw some lines just to frame this a little bit more with a dark color so that I have sort of a black frame around it to match the black outline around my flowers. And I'll do that on each side nice and slowly with my ruler. I'm using a sentiment that comes with the set. I'm just going to stamp it in some Hero Arts black ink, and then I'm going to create a banner from the left side. I'll put some Scotch foam tape on the back and then put it right there across the stems. Now for my final bit of detail, I'm going to use some liquid pearls. This is the color of Buttercup, which really matches my So Saffron. My liquid pearls is really old, like many years old, so it's a little sticky, so I have to be a little bit careful, but I'm trying to pull it straight up so that it doesn't have that kind of string that curls. It wasn't perfect, but neither are flowers. So anyway, I decided to just go with it, and I really like the way it turned out with the yellow in the center and then the yellow in the cardstock. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.